I've actually been trying to watch this movie for quite a while, and now that I've seen it, I'm just like, that was worth the wait. So today we will be talking about 1981's Possession from filmmaker Andrzej Zulawski. Yeah, I said it right. If you don't know what Possession is the story of a woman named Anna who starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after she asks her husband Mark for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister. Ooh. As I said before at the start of this video, it took me a while to find this movie and watch it because you can't really find this movie anywhere. There's not really a DVD or Blu-ray copy easily available to find, and trying to find it anywhere online is also very hard. Luckily for me, I got one of the only Blu-ray copies of this movie. Bam! See? There it is. And I got this on an auction on eBay, and let me tell you, it was not cheap. It was not cheap to get this, but you know, I said, I want it, I got it, Ariana Grande. From the start, this movie is a visceral roller coaster. You can tell it's going to be a roller coaster ride from the imagery at the very start of the movie, and also the way the score just comes in, and the score itself, it is so full of dread that you can just feel that something's going to happen in this movie. I stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning watching this movie, and I could not take my eyes off it. Usually I get tired watching movies that late in the morning slash night, but watching this my eyes were wide open and I could not take my eyes off of what was going on in the movie because it was just so hard to look away. The cinematography of the movie is quite stunning. It is something I don't really think I've seen really much in cinema at all, and maybe I have seen it in movies after this movie was made and maybe even today, but really watching this movie I said, wow, the cinematography in this movie is honestly boundary breaking. Am I going too far? But I would say it's boundary breaking. Before I get ahead of myself, let me just rewind and talk about the movie a little bit more. So as I said, the movie is about this woman named Anna, played by Isabelle Adjani, and her husband, Mark, who's played by Sam Neill, and the movie really is about their marriage crumbling and them figuring out if they want to separate or not. I feel like the real horror of this movie is watching the two characters of Anna and Mark go at each other and try to talk to each other because their conversations they have really go from just conversations to explosive arguments in a snap of a finger, and really it was just hard to watch those scenes. I would say about maybe the first hour of the movie, the first half of the movie, there is no crazy horror things going on. It's just the two main characters going at each other with all their emotions, and honestly my chest was hurting watching them go at each other. It was honestly scary at times what they were saying and the way their faces would contort. I was just gagged. Isabel Adjani and Sam Neill both go to such emotional extremes at times in this movie that I was really worried for them. There are way too many scenes in this movie where Isabel Adjani and Sam Neill are just going at it, either with one another or just by themselves. I remember seeing Sam Neill like in a bed and he was rocking back and forth, and it was honestly something hard to watch. Also Isabel, she has way too many scenes in this movie where she's just going crazy by herself. Uh, so many moments. So many moments. The most infamous scene in this movie is the subway scene where Isabel Adjani's character Anna goes crazy and she just is spiraling and her body's contorting, and oh god, that scene really was hard to watch. But yeah, the first half of the movie really doesn't have anything like horror in it. It's just the two main characters going at each other, and honestly I feel like horror movies that are rooted in reality are one of the scariest things that you could ever actually watch because it could actually happen to you. Seriously, a lot of the confrontations in this movie, like they have one at a cafe, they have one, like a lot of them in their apartment. Uh, it was just so scary to watch them go at it like that because I have seen stuff like that happen in real life and it is not pretty to watch. The second half of the movie is where the horror aspects come in because there is like this weird monster thing. I'm not gonna really talk about it much because I don't want to spoil the movie at all, but there's this weird monster thing at the end of the movie, like after the halfway part. It starts, I think, maybe more than halfway, maybe like in the last third of the movie it appears, but that monster, I was like, it looked disgusting, and my mom was like, but it has to symbolize something, and it did. Isabella Johnny is playing two characters in this movie. She's playing the main character of Anna, or Anna, whatever, and she's also playing this school teacher called Helen. And at first I was like, why would they have two characters who look the same unless there's a point? And then I was like, oh, I feel like Helen is definitely like the embodiment of everything good and is definitely not what Anna is. This movie, I feel, there's so many themes in this movie. I mean, there's the Berlin Wall featured in this movie so heavily, and I'm like, a divide, a divide. And I feel like a divide comes very, divides and oppression really are themes in the movie that the main characters are feeling, but also there's themes of self, and God, I just really want to rewatch the movie because just thinking about it, I'm like, there's a lot to unpack in this movie that I still haven't fully unpacked. When this movie came out in 1981, it was banned in a lot of countries, and when it was released in the US, they cut like at least half an hour to maybe 40 minutes of the film, so no one who saw it in the US actually got a good, like, look at what the movie was and what it was actually trying to portray. It's such a shame because I feel like if this movie was just released in its full version and it was allowed to play all over the world when it was coming out at the time in 1981, then it would have been regarded as such an amazing horror movie by everyone in the world. But instead, only a few people, more than a few, but not that many people have seen Possession, and it's honestly sad because this movie should be regarded as one of the best horror movies of all time, to be honest. Looking back at the 1981 Oscar race, I'm thinking if this movie was released in its full entirety, it most certainly would have gotten more Oscar nominations, and some people would say not because of the kind of stuff in the movie, but I feel like in 1980s they might have at least just given it nominations at the very least. The surest thing this movie had to a nomination and win at the Oscars would have been for Isabelle Adjani. She got the Best Actress award at both Cannes and at the Césars, so it would have been safe to say that she should have gotten an Oscar nomination and a win for her performance in Possession, because her performance in Possession is something that I have never really seen at all from a man or a woman. I would have given this movie nominations for Best Director, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Cinematography, and maybe even Best Original Screenplay from Andrei Zulawski, because the screenplay goes off. The dialogue in this movie and the story itself is magnificent. Overall, Possession honestly is a masterpiece. I want to rewatch it again because it's one of those movies where you understand what you're watching the first time around, but every viewing of it, you unlock more and more from it. And this is just my first initial feelings and thoughts on Possession, but I know that with more rewatches, I will understand it a lot more. I probably will be watching again around Halloween, October, spooky time, and I probably will talk about it more in another video some point down the road. But yeah, I just wanted to make a little review of what I could make sense of watching the movie because I thought it would be fun, and also I haven't reviewed anything yet, and I was like, maybe this might be a fun movie to review for the first time. If you can find a way to watch this movie, I would highly recommend you watch it because it is worth your time, but once again, it's hard to watch. There's no DVD available. The Blu-rays are almost hard to find. You have to pay a lot of money to get them, if you can even find one available to purchase. And finding it online streaming anywhere in a good quality version, I feel like would be very hard. I tried finding it online. Very flop is what I would say to me when trying to find the movie online. This movie might not be for everyone. It's an art house movie first and foremost, and then it's kind of a Eurotrash kind of movie, so it might not click with everyone, but it certainly clicked with me, and if you like that kind of thing, you might love this movie a lot. But yeah, that's my little short review of Possession from 1981. Tell me, if you've seen the movie, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And what themes and messages did you get from the movie? Because there's a lot of themes and messages that I got from the movie, but it's really hard just to verbalize what I'm thinking when it comes to this movie. This movie really is an experience. It's something you have to experience yourself to understand. So no, that's why it's hard to say stuff about this movie, because other than the performances, it's so hard to talk about what goes on in this movie because it's something you really have to experience. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks again for coming to my channel. If you like what I do, then, subscribe and maybe even like the video. Yes. Anyways, that's it for this review. My other reviews I make hopefully will be a little bit more coherent and maybe a little bit more well put together, but this is the first review I've done of a movie, so I'm gonna give myself some slack. And with that, I'm gonna go now, so once again, thanks for watching, and yeah, bye.